What's good, YouTube? We're here today with the second place Magician Zoo deck from the Croatian Summer Challenge Regionals with Filip Kupres. I hope I'm not murdering that one. There's only one L. So, there's a lengthy tournament report, but for those of you who just wanted the list, it'll be there in a second. I just want to shout out his TO for doing a little something extra, giving out trophies and doing things for their players that they don't have to do. I gotta give it to whoever that TO is. So, here's the list. Hello, House of Champs. I'm here to report my second place winning Magician Zoo deck from the Croatian Summer Challenge Regionals. There were 67 people in total registered. Tournament had 7 rounds of Swiss and top 8. It was a long ride there because lots of games went into time. I went 6-1 in Swiss and got into top 8, and from there went 2-1. So it is a 8-2 in general day. The deck did extremely well. It was super consistent with Zoo and the Perform Pal engine. The deck had a lot of searches and ways to get over big boards. Some people didn't know how the new Magicians work, so that was somewhat of an advantage, although they couldn't do much against established boards even if they did know. I love how Magicians work that way. What made me smile was people realizing that pendulums aren't dead and that Magicians are definitely a force to be reckoned with. There were about 4 to 5 Magician players at the tournament. This version doesn't give a damn about link format or restrictions. Without further ado, here's my report. It was a long day, as I said, so the info might be a little off. Round 1, Magician Zoo versus Felgrand, win 1-0. First round was against a bad deck. Honestly, I wouldn't really count it as a huge success. I went first and exploded with my board and basically won from there. In game 2, he set 5 and passed. I got over everything with Tornado Dragon and Time Pendulum Graph, GG. Round 2 versus Pure Magician. Here's his loss in Swiss. 1-1, he says, is what he went, but it goes through 3 games. I went first and exploded with Zoo and Magician Engine, got Omega turn 1, used its effect to clear my extra monster zone, and I proceeded with the Zoo Engine and summoned Mrs. Radiant and Dryden. I got 2 extra draws from the Perform Pal Engine, drawing into Ghost Ogre, had Time Pendulum Graph ready, and full scales and 5 cards in hand. Opponent could not handle it and scooped. Game 2, the opponent went first and established a decent board with Omega banishing my Silver Fang Magician. I think that's Black Fang Magician. I went second and proceeded to combo. Unfortunately, I got ogred, and that stopped me a bit of the turn. On my next turn, he had Scales, Time Pendulum Graph, and Time Star Magician. I wanted to bait things with Purple Poison Destruction effect by normaling it, and attacked Time Star. In main phase 2, I searched my Time Pendulum Graph and had Twin Twister ready. A couple of turns later, I misplayed and had to scoop. It was too much. I was too much in thought for some other things on board and forgot the ones which eventually caught me off guard. Game 3, I went first. Had a good hand and proceeded to combo. I got ashed and it hurt. I passed the turn and my opponent established a typical Magician board. Oh, this is against Pure Magicians. Okay. But I had some answers. On my next turn, I top deck Joker, went for his effect, got ashed again, and revealed Time Pendulum Graph. Hand Traps did its job for the opponent's win, and Omega had become too much to handle. So this was Magician Zoo versus Pure Magicians. Round 3, Magician Zoo versus Prediction Princess Shadol, 1-2-1. It wasn't too hard. He did his deck's usual combos, but Time Pendulum Graph plus Purple Poison were obliterating his deck. He eventually ran out of resources, and I proceeded to OTK. It was almost the same in both the games that I won. Let's see here. Oh, it was a 2-0. Sorry. He's putting his record at the top of each of these. Round 4, Magician Zoo versus True King Dino Yang Zings, and it's a win. Game 1, I went first. I started with a Magician combo to set up Scales and summon Omega. I went for Omega to see what I was playing against. I used his effect and banished an Oviraptor. Then I started spamming the rank 4 engine and got Trident Dweller, Mrs. Radiant on the field. That was a nasty opening against Dinos. Because of the Dweller, I basically skipped an entire turn and set a card. He set a card and passed. On my turn, I normal summoned Whiptail so I could OTK. He flips Torrential Tribute, but no worries. I didn't die. No worries, I didn't die. I love this guy. Omega survived, and I managed to get a field full again because I had a sick opening and a maxi ready. It was a back and forth for a few turns because of Tyranno, but I managed to defeat him. Game 2, he went first summon Oviraptor. I ashed his effect. On my turn, I started combo, but I didn't have much of a board presence. I think he striked or ogred me. The next turn, he OTK'd me. Game 3, I went first again and summoned Dweller, Radiant, Trident, and Ogre in hand. It was back and forth for a few turns because of Tyranno again, but I managed to bait him early every time, proceeded him to hit him with lots of damage, and out-resourced my opponent, GG. Round 5, Magician Zoo versus Pure Zoo. 4-1, my opponent didn't know what a lot of magicians do, but it didn't matter. I had all the answers and hand traps ready every time for this matchup. He had a decent monster setup, but lacked several back row protections. I managed to defeat him in both games. One of his openings was great, and I thought I was done for, but honestly, Ignister plus Poison Magician did more than enough in the end. GG. Round 6, Magician Zoo versus Metalfo Cosmo Artifact, 5-1. This game was so long. It lasted for all full 45 minutes with a lot of back and forth of my opponent's deck floating ability and Artifact Disruption. By the end of the game, I had Ignister on the field to spend his Cosmo cards and Time Pendulum Graph with Star Pendulum Graph ready for an extra threat. Ignister was one thing for him to get over, but he just couldn't get over Time Pendulum Graph. Time was announced right when we began to side, and the judge told me I won. So yeah, if you're siding going into game 2 and time's called, and you haven't presented decks, that's a wrap. Round 7, Magician Zoo versus Trickstar, Wind Witch Invoked, 6-1. This was a very interesting matchup. My opponent ran a small Trickstar engine and for hand removal with Trickstar Reincarnation, Trap Card, and typical Wind Witch Invoked builds with Kaijus in the side. Game 1, it was a lot of back and forth. He couldn't get over my Beals for a couple of turns, and Time Pendulum Graph destroyed his key cards. One of the best targets was Solemn Warning, which if he used, it would have been GG. He ran out of almost all of his invoked monsters from the extra deck. He also ran Call the Haunted to get back his dead invoked monsters, and he could have had another invoked or Crystal Wing in his extra monster zone ready. Pretty cool. He also ran, let's see, he won game 2 with Crystal Wing and a few hand traps. I couldn't handle the disruption, so Crystal Wing because it was too much, and I immediately scooped game 3. I know that Time Pendulum Graph was too strong for him because he didn't run many traps in the main to negate with Mechaba, and it disrupted his Wind Witches. We were in time. I won the dice roll and went first, but he had a final battle phase chance. Still, I managed to lower his life points enough on my last turn, and then he couldn't deal damage. So it sounds like they had already presented decks at this point, and he's saying he won game 1 and had won the dice roll. So here in game 3, he's going first, I believe. Top 8, Magician Zoo versus Trickstar, Wind Witch Invoked. He goes 7-1 again. The same player. So back to back here. Games were somehow the same, and we concluded that it was a bad matchup against him. I won game 1, I lost game 2, and won game 3, so the same thing. Time Pendulum Graph did almost everything with a few hand traps going around. Top 4, Magician Zoo versus Demise Draco. Finally, the Draco matchup, 8-1. Both of us knew what we were playing against. Game 1, I won the dice roll, but opened bad. I went into a rank 4 Broad Bull overlay. He had Winter Cherries banish my Tridents. Ooh, main deck, spicy. I got left with Tiger Mortar and Kong with an Xyz material for protection on the field. I thought I was going to get Shrek'd. On his turn, he activated Diagram, but I had Ghost Ogre for the answer. Surprisingly, he set 4 and passed. On my turn, I ended up with Beals, Radiant, Skullcrow, Pendulum Sorcerer, and OTK'd him. That one disrupted Diagram was a game changer. What a second turn. Game 2, I sided for going second, but he tricked me a bit and told me to go first. That happens a lot when I'm playing Pendulum Magician, so it sounds like this guy knew what he was doing. I sided the Kaiju engine mainly for Masterpiece Hate. I opened decent with a few Kaiju cards in hand. He set 4 and passed with 1 card in hand, which was Masterpiece. I started doing my combos and he flipped Skill Drain, so I had to rely on Magician effects and Kaijus only. I had to bait his Masterpiece summon with his trap cards, and the end I didn't give a damn about Skill Drain and took a simple game state approach to picking him with my Magicians and spamming Kaijus. For the rest of the game, I Poison Scale effect on Iris, boosted his attack, and the battle phase destroyed my Kaiju on his field. With the Wisdom, I did enough damage for game. Sadly for him, he never got to Demise. GG. Top 2 finals, Magician Zoo versus Pure Zoo. I lost the finals both games. It was very quick. Opponent had all the answers, a lot of combo starters, and he won the dice roll. I couldn't even bait anything game 1 and scooped in game 2. I went first, but didn't open well. My only combo piece was Wisdom Eye, and he ogred it. that was practically GG. Final note, I had a great time with this deck. It's powerful in synergy, grinding, and consistency. Everything pops itself or other things, gets searchers, triggers, effects spam, the board, and wins game from there. The only thing I wasn't happy with was my side deck. My second Ash Blossom didn't arrive in time, and I had to put in a third Ogre. Same for Twisters. They should have been Cosmic Cyclones, and System Downs were supposed to be D-Barriers or Winter Cherries, so I had to improvise on that part. I had a lot of misplays, mostly in the top 8 cut, but something game-changing, but not something game-changing. Because of games in time, I had to play up to 3 games in a row without moving from my seat, basically, and it killed my back because the chairs were so bad for sitting for a longer period of time. I already had it rough up until top 8, and I got very tired. Most of the top 8 players were players with a lot of live dueling experience and good players in general. I skipped almost an entire format on local since the release of Zoo, maybe a bit before, and played online only. That's mostly the reason for my misplays, because dueling in real life is definitely a different experience, and not everything is automatic like DevPro. There are other factors like stress, tiredness, people watching, feature camera, and so on. Sounds like there were feature matches. Nice. So there's definitely a place for improvement on my side, but I'm happy that I made such a strong build. I tested it online and decided that it's perfect pick for regionals and for any bigger events. Shoutouts to Bosnian Carrot Guy from Dueling Book, who inspired me to play Magicians. He also gave me advice on a few things against the meta decks. And last but not least, shout out to Time Pendulum Graph, probably the most stupid and one of the most broken trap cards ever in the game. The card is powerful beyond imagination. It won so many games that I can't even count them on my fingers. Sorry for the long post, and thanks for your notice. Cheers. Well, thank you so much, Filip Kupres, for the in-depth tournament report. And now, we gotta go through this list for those of you who are waiting and couldn't tell what they are. 3 Double Iris, 2 Black Fang, 2 Oath Dragon, you don't see that every day, 3 Wisdom Eye, 3 Purple Poison, 3 Harmonizing, 3 Joker. We got 2 copies of Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer. We got Lizard Draw, Guitar Turtle, Maxi, Double Ogre, Double Rat, 1 Thoroughblade, 1 Whip, 1 Ram, Double Barrage, 1 Pendulum Call, 2-star Pendulum Graph, 3 Duelist Alliance, and a Time Pendulum Graph. And the side, we've got Ash Blossom, Joyous Spring, Ghost Ogre, and Snow Rabbit. We've got the Star Destroying Kaiju, Gamma Seal, Radian, along with Sticky String Kaiju, Double Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, Triple Twin Twisters, Triple System Down, and a Stardust Dragon randomly. We've got Beals, Omega, Ignister, Abyss Dweller, Tornado Dragon, Time Star Magician, Double Trident, Double Broad Bull, 1 Tiger Mortar, 1 Chakanine, 1 Hammer Kong. We got Mrs. Radiant and Dakota Talker. I actually imagine against Zoo that this plus a Trident behind a Mrs. would actually be pretty cool. So there you have it, the entire deck list of this man's Filip Kupres. Hopefully it's not Philip. I'm sorry if it is. But hey, either way, amazing job, man. Thank you for submitting your deck profile in such a detailed, awesome tournament report. Hopefully everybody watching enjoyed this. And be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoy deck profiles. There will be more interesting ones on the main channel. And we'll also have the deck profile channel putting up some Zoo Draco ones later in the week.